The Bob Simmons Show, brought to you by the Johnson Auto Family. Just a short drive from high prices. Johnson's Auto Family, Kingfisher, Chickasha, Enid, and Stillwater. By Phillips 66, the Performance Company. By Southwestern Bell, the exclusive communications choice of the OSU Cowboys. By Oklahoma Tank Lines, a proud sponsor of Oklahoma State Athletics. By Oberlin World Color Press. And by the OSU Posse, reminding you to wear orange and purchase officially licensed OSU products. Now, here's your host, Tom Dirato.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to the first Bob Simmons Show of the year. The Cowboys went to Kansas, won 38-28 this past weekend. For the second time in as many seasons now, Oklahoma State leads the Big 12 South after one opening weekend of play. Have you cooled off yet, and what are your thoughts?
Well, have I cooled off? That's a good question because it really was very hot there, but the one thing I am pleased about was our kids went up to Kansas under those conditions, under the heat. And obviously when you play under the heat and you're really not ready for the game conditions and the intensity, but the bottom line is that we went up there and came out with victory. Both
teams had to play in the heat. It was hot on Kansas as it was on our side, but the fact is, tough conditions, but yet came away with a victory. That's what you wanted to do.
Well, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Is when you talk about the heat, I've kidded around with the kids over the course of 2 days and said the sun is our ally, so to speak. And
now they believe you.
I hope so. But going under there, we really had to play several kids in that ball game, and I think our depth overcame some of the heat.
Well, again, the Cowboys went up to Kansas. Poise, patience, big plays all made a difference down the stretch. Some ways it was truly a first game. We have all the highlights after this opening timeout. Well, welcome back to the show, Bob. We mentioned it was tough conditions up there in Lawrence. No question for a first game. I think the temperature on the field approached 120 degrees, but yet both teams had to fight through it. You know, as we look at the team coming out, obviously you knew it was hot because it wasn't much cooler in the locker room.
You're absolutely right. And, when we started this ball game off time under the conditions that it was, I think our ball club didn't come out and didn't play as well as I'd like, but spotted them about 14 points lead, but here you see our kickoff here. I tell you, Jamal Fobbs, before the season ends, going to break one. He does a great job of splitting this thing and bring us out to the 40-yard line. Great field position. You see here, Fobbs make a great cut here and picks up about 7 yards. And this is the 3rd and 1 play, and there's a nice toss between Nathan and Tony, and he just steps out. 4th down call, 4th and inches. Tony makes a good decision and keeps the drive alive, which is really what we want to try to do at that point in the ball game. Then Tony goes back and really on a scramble play, you can see his ability to come in and make big plays, and he puts on a burst and really puts us back in that ball game at this point in time. I think it's 14-7 right now.
Actually, 13 is they missed that extra point. But again, look at the acceleration at the end of this play.
He explodes right through the gap. Great block by I think that's Marcellus Rivers, and he outruns number 3 and gives us 7 points, and at that point in time, we're back in the ball game. I think our kids never thought we were out. It was early in the first quarter. We just had to overcome some of our mistakes, and Tim Siddons finishes off with an extra point. And now we're down 6 points, and our defense comes up and at this really doing a nice job of stuffing the run game. I don't think they had a back go over 100 yards this game, and we got guys getting off blocks. There's Waddle and there's Trent Alexander, who's one of our leading tacklers. Matter of fact, both our safeties in on the tackle.
The defense seemed to feed off that scoring drive.
Well, they did.
We needed that drive to start.
We needed that drive time, and it got us back, our momentum going, and our defense got back on the field and really started playing well, gang tackling. You can see there's about 4 or 5 guys around the football here. And then this is a key play. This is one of Troy West's big plays in the game. He actually looked like a tailback running the football here. Nice moves and spin move here, put the ball away, and just before we crossed the goal line, the ball comes out, but the ball broke the plane, and that was a big turnover for our defense to come back and really get the 7 points that our offense gave up with the fumble early in the ball game. But this is a great run by this young man. Again, not swinging that ball. He needs to put it away, get it tucked in his body, and he got in. That was a good thing about it. He got into the end zone.
Well, you talk about in the space of about what we're talking about, 3.5 minutes, come back from 13-0 on the road. Now you've got the lead. You've restored the momentum. Right. But I go back to that drive again, started by Fobbs' return. They had to have something good that kind of lit the fire.
Yeah, we had to have something happen. And when you got a veteran squad, our squad came on, and Fobbs got his great field position. Tony comes up with a big play, and those are big play type of individuals.
You told us about him before the year began.
Well, that's Winbush, and I think he's an excellent player, but I think this is a situation where we didn't have enough guys on the field here. We went back and looked at the film, and This is a play that probably could have ended that drive. You know, and when we're in position to make those plays, I think that's Chris Carter. We want to come down. Great break. He makes an interception, and that drive is over with. But that's a good effort play by Chris Carter.
Well, that's the difference in scoring and not scoring. But again, talk about answered drives. Matthews puts us on another one here.
Well, I tell you, our backs are pretty good. That kickoff return was one of the areas in our special teams that we really tried to focus on. And he gives us good field position starting on the 30-yard line, and Jamal makes a good cut inside here. And then our fullbacks, this is Jeremy Hafferty, really did a nice job on the short yardage plays and giving us good field position. Nice catch by Nathan here, getting 5 and 6 yards up the sideline. You know, right now we're in momentum. We call on Tony again to do a nice job. Now, I was disappointed to see him get tackled by that safety, but he got us a first down. Then he goes back over the middle to Sean Love, which keeps that drive alive. That's a big throw, big catch. We're down on their 15-yard line, and it's a shuffle pass here. And actually, this is a good cut, but you know, he got us stay up. He got us down to about the 7-yard line, about the 5-yard line, and we call on our big fullback. This is hard, tough running. Look at Jerry. He wasn't down then.
No, he wasn't.
And then he would come back with the same play. He went over for a touchdown.
Talk about his play. I mean, this is a kid who really stepped in
here.
here.
I tell you what, Jeremy Hafferty has really put some the toughness in the fullback position for us, because he runs hard, he blocks aggressive. We go off at halftime. You see 21-21. We talk about coming out the second half with a 0-0 start. Well,
we talked again about restoring the momentum. You looked at Kansas scores. They were quick strikes, really didn't do a lot of driving, took advantage of a miscue here or there.
Right.
But I had the feeling that we had control of the football field during that time. Was that the message at halftime?
Well, we always felt that we were always in the ball game. And you see, we come out the second half, talked about a big drive, and our offense had the ball, and Nathan makes one of his longest runs, and the guy just clipped his shoes. But we had to have something from a momentum standpoint the second half. The play started one way. He did a nice job of staying up and good vision, and then going down the sideline for a 62-yard run. That was really how we wanted to start that second half, come out with a scoring drive.
The offense seemed to be, at least from the press box, appeared to be beating the Kansas Jayhawks to the line of scrimmage in this series. Really look hungry to get that snap and get it done.
Well, the thing about time, we were fresh. We came out of the locker room. We had our kids had been rested. This is a good run by Fobb, turning the corner. And the key was that our offensive line had to come out and do a good job of blocking. I really think they did that. And this is one of our quick plays, and Jamal does a nice job of going inside for a touchdown, which gave us a lead going into the second half.
Of course, now we've got the lead. We've come all the way back from that 13-0 deficit. And I thought, as we look at this next Kansas drive to get it back even again, I thought we had a couple of series between the score and this drive here where if we put any more points on the board, maybe the game.
Well, you know, and now you're exactly right. I also felt the same way. If our offense can come back and put 2 or 3 on the board, that we would put the game away. But you know, our defense, again, that's a penalty. I had to come up with some big plays when they needed it. They did a good job of forcing a turnover, which is what we preach on defense, being aggressive. They kept them out of the end zone, which gave us some momentum back. Now, what we have to do is come off the goal line, but that really gave us great position. You can see our guys here. This is a great scramble on their part. We talk about containment by the defense, and that's one thing that we have to make sure we adjust into going into the next week's ball game. But this is just a misplayed ball by our secondary back here, which let them back in the ball game. And we talked about, you know, it's not what they do, it's what we do. And their 4 scores came off of missed assignments and some things that we can get corrected. This is a nice throw by Tony here, starting a drive here. I think this is in the 4th quarter here.
And things got a little tense after this one.
I think at this point in the ball game, we're pretty tired, and the kids showed it. But this is a good punt by a young punter here. And you talk about big plays in the ball game, this is one of the biggest. Field positions at this point in the game is key. And that young man, Childs, not fielding the ball, gave us a great field position. Our defense now is pumped up. We go out, we play very, very aggressive. Nice coverage here by J.B. Flowers. They come out here, we'll apply a little bit of pressure. He goes, this is 3rd down and 9 call. He picks up 5, we force him to punt. And now we have the field position.
This was a perfect example of 3 phases of your game working all in concert to get vital points.
This is a good return by, I think that's Terrence Richardson. Brings us back to the 45. So we're starting our drive at the 45-yard line. Our offense is coming back, pumped up. Nice, tough, aggressive run by Tony. Got us about 8 or 9 yards. Another quick play, nice inside cut by Nathan. really grinding out the yards, making it 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 here. This is another quick snap because see, they were getting tired at this point in time, so we would call quick plays, and we moved the ball down. Our drive stalled here. This was a very, very important field goal by Tim. It gave us the lead. It gave us a little bit of the momentum here. We're up 31-28. Our kids at this point feel good about what's going on. Now it's a matter of turning the ball game over to the defense here. Tip ball by, I think that was Kenyatta Wright, and here's that tailback again trying to run the ball.
He's going to want to set up in the tailback spot next week, isn't he?
But, you know, this is an important drive of running time off the clock as well as trying to score, and our offensive line does a good job, and Tony takes it in, and you can see the final score was 38-28, and I just talked to Coach Allen, and he has a good program. He's got a good football team, and that program is going to be all right. But as you say, we went up there, we made some mistakes, but we were poised enough, mature enough to come out with a victory.
And stay focused. That's exactly what we needed right there.
We have to stay focused.
You know, you've heard a lot about Bob's surgery in recent weeks, and certainly that is good news. We've heard all the good news about the surgery, but how is his better half doing these days? We'll find out on this week's 2-Minute Drill.
The 2-Minute Drill, brought to you by Tartan Golf and Gear. If it has your logo on it, we do it.
Well, welcome back to the show. You know, many of us think long and hard before agreeing to undergo surgery. The very thought of the word makes us uneasy, to say the least. But Linda Simmons never once questioned her decision to give the gift of life. And this week, part 1 of her story. Linda, we've already heard Bob's up-to-the-minute report on his recovery. How are you doing?
Really very well. I would say I'm about 95% recovered.
You know, because of your medical background, probably no one knew any better about the risk that you were going to take, and Bob as well, prior to the surgery.
I did, having been a nurse for as long as I have, I was well aware of all the risks, but I tell you, really didn't make any difference. I really felt in my heart this is something that I wanted to do, and from my perspective, it really wasn't a risk. It was just a gesture of my love for him and for my family, and ultimately, as most people look at it, it's a gift of life, and that really comes from the Lord, and I just followed through with his plan.
Take us back to those days that immediately led up to the operation. You had decided to do this. You weighed the risks, as you said. The uneasiness, was it when you got up to the final moment?
There wasn't any, Tom. There never has been. And I know that's probably difficult for a lot of people to understand, but I think that most people know how much Jesus plays a part in our lives. And for me, initially, to make the decision that it was something that I wanted to do, I really consulted the Lord in prayer. And I did go and specifically ask, is this what you want me to do? Should I donate this kidney to my husband? And of course, the answer was yes. And when you hear the Lord speak to you that way and give you his word, which was Isaiah 41:10 for me, there is such a peace that fills your heart and your mind that you know he's taking care of every aspect of this whole process, from the waiting period before, all of the tests that I had to go through, the surgery itself, the post-operative period, and every moment thereafter. I was at complete and total peace. There was never ever any doubt, never ever any uneasiness, no fear, no concern, because I knew that what God says he's going to do, he's going to do. And he, in essence, had told me that he was taking care of everything, and my husband as well. So there never really was any uneasiness, just peace.
I honestly believe any kind of surgery alters your perspective on things, not yours, but anyone's. Have you noticed the change first in Bob in any way, or yourself since the surgery?
You might need to ask some others about me as far as any changes.
We'll probably ask Bob.
You might have to ask him, I don't know. As far as he's concerned, I really think that he's probably, like I am, a little more sensitive about what love is, what it means to be in a marriage, and probably a lot more compassionate now. And I think maybe a little more patient. I know people have said that he's smiling a lot more. And I think I've even noticed that. He's just, probably the peace that I have experienced, which I know he experienced too, is playing a part in that. Because he knows too that if you just trust the Lord and give him whatever it is that you're having to deal with at that moment, he's willing to take care of it.
Are you smiling more?
Yeah, I'm smiling because you got me. I tell you what, you know, my wife and I have shared our story all over the country, and the bottom line that she and I both agree that this is a great testimony to Jesus Christ and what he can do through your life. And obviously we talk about Bob Simmons and Linda Simmons, but the bottom line is Jesus Christ.
It's a good story right there. We'll conclude our visit with Linda next week, so you want to be with us at that time. The game within the game, the internet question of the week, a look at Tulsa. That's all still ahead on the Bob Simmons Show. You know, one of our new features this year is the game within the game. It's brought to you by American Residential Group, and this week we're going to talk about special teams. No question, you always talk about special teams, but what better example did we need than Kansas? Two big plays from the special teams that turned it around the last 7 minutes.
Well, you know, really time it was three, and then maybe one you had on film, but because the first half, I think Dwayne Levels ended up partially blocking the kick, which really gave us field position. But late in the ball game, we had to have a change in field position, and our young punter did a nice job of doing that with a 78-yard punt. And then as we got that drive going, Tim Sitness came in and really kicked the field goal that put us ahead and also changed the momentum of that ball game. And
special teams kind of dear to your heart. You're always out there all the time.
The reason I'm out there is because I ended up coaching the punt return team, and that's a pride thing with me, and I tell the players. But overall, special teams are hidden points. They're very, very important. We talk about it every week. You must win special team game.
And one thing we're going to talk about every week, we're going to get a question, a Southwestern Bell Internet question of the week. Some of our fans around the country be able to ask you a question. This one, our first one, comes up from Doug Martin over in Coweta. He wants to know about fourth down decisions. Are they gut decisions sometimes?
Well, some of them are gut decisions. Obviously, it depends upon what point in the game that you are. But, you know, my fourth down calls, if it's 4th and inches or half an inch or something like that, which I got a lot of confidence in our offense that we can at least get a half an inch. In some situations, I'll go ahead and make that call. But, you know, first part of the ball game, if it's 4th down and inches and we're in our own territory. Now, I've gone for it at times, but, you know, it's a feeling that I'll have, and it's a decision that, you know, that I'll talk to the coaches about. But it's really about having belief in that offensive line and in the offense that they can get it.
And you're 2 for 2 this year.
So far, 2 for 2. That's right.
Okay, let's look at the standings very quickly now. Early on, Cowboys sitting right there in the Big 12 South.
Well, hey, it looks good.
You like
Oklahoma
that, don't you?
State, we are leading the Big 12 South, and you know, our first ball game, first win on the road, big conference game with Kansas. We needed to have that, which really puts us in pretty good position.
Okay, Tulsa now. We're talking about Tulsa this weekend.
Right.
Always a big get-together.
Well, it is. It's an in-state game for ourselves in Tulsa and bragging rights, and we look forward to going over there. Coach Rader's doing a good job with that football team coming off their first win. So it's going to be a hard-fought football game.
Well, both teams are 1-0 on the year, so that should be a heck of a battle over in T-Town. That's all the time we have for this week. For Bob Simmons and our entire crew here at Educational Television Services, Tom Dirato. Goodbye, everybody.